Have you been believing God for something for a long time and you're wondering why it hasn't happened yet? Or maybe it's more like, man, you've been working towards a goal. You've been asking God for something. You've been trying to get after it, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. Well, in today's episode, I'm going to bring a scripture to you that you probably haven't thought about. This is newer revelation for me as well. And that's what I do here. I learn something, I teach it to you guys. So we're going to talk about a pretty interesting scripture today that has been really helping me and also revealing a lot of mindsets and why or why not we don't take action on what God told us to do. This is a powerful scripture. This is going to be a life-changing episode for you because as we get more and more revelation, the closer we grow to God, the more we understand how life operates and works in the kingdom, the better our lives get and the more people we can help. If it's your first time to the channel, I'm Travis Peters. We teach you how to live the increase life. This is how to activate God's promise for increase, for abundance, for prosperity, so that we can do the big things God has called us to do. You've got people to help. You've got a call on your life. Let's not let something as small as money get in the way. Sound good? Head over to financialincrease101.com if you haven't already. I got a free guide there that's going to show you how to actually get you out of the budgeted life. I'm the only person teaching you how to escape a budget when everyone else is trying to put you in one. All right? We're going to show you how to win financially as well as the other important areas of life because you got big things to do for God. And like I said, let's get this little money thing out of the way so we're freed up to go do the big stuff. All right. Now, I want you to turn to 1 John. You know, I like to go, I do have my iPad with a bunch of translations, but you know, there's just nothing like the physical Bible. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're excited about this content. And if you haven't seen my older videos, man, dive in. I've got some powerful series that are just going to help you win at life. I want to make sure you see them and don't miss them. Let's go to 1 John 3, verse 20. Now we're going to read this in a couple translations, and you're going to be glad I did because it brings out some pretty powerful points. I'll give you a sec. Okay, here we go. For if our heart condemns us, hey, God is greater than our hearts, and He knows all things. Beloved, if our heart does not condemn us, we can have confidence towards God. Now, here's what that means. Let me read it to you in a couple translations to bring this out. In the New Living. Even if we feel guilty, God is greater than our feelings, and He knows everything. Dear friends, if we don't feel guilty, we can come to God with a bold confidence. Let's do this. Let me get one more scripture pulled up. The next verse. Even if we feel guilty, God is greater than our feelings, and He knows everything. Dear friends, if we don't feel guilty, we can come to God with a bold confidence, and we will receive from Him whatever we ask, because we obey Him and do the things that please Him. All right, I'm getting to my point. I need you to just soak this in. Just stay with me just for another minute here. When our hearts make us feel guilty and remind us of our failures, this is the Passion Translation, we know that God is much greater and more merciful than our conscience, and He knows everything there is to know about us. My delightfully loved friends, when our hearts don't condemn us, we have a bold freedom to speak face to face with God, and whatever we ask of Him, we receive, because we keep His commands, and by our beautiful intentions, we continue to do what brings pleasure to Him. Now listen to this in the Message. My dear children, let's not talk about love. Let's practice real love. This is the only way we'll know we're truly living in God's reality. It's also the way to shut down self-debilitating self-criticism. even when there's something to it. For God is greater than our worried hearts and knows more about us than we do ourselves. And friends, once that's taken care of, and we're no longer accusing or condemning ourselves, we're bold and free before God. We're able to stretch out our hands and receive what we've asked for because we're doing what He said, doing what pleases Him. All right. This also plays into why a lot of Christians feel guilty around money, don't feel worthy of having money. Who am I? Why should I have all this money? I know Christians who own businesses that do multiple millions of dollars, even tens of millions of dollars. Yet they won't take any money. They won't touch the money. And it's not because they'll pay themselves like a very, 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 very meager salary. And it's done all under this guise of being like noble and I don't know, to be honest with you. But when you start talking to them and ask some questions about faith and what they believe, you find out that they're taking these small checks because it's honestly this right here. Their hearts are condemning them. Who am I? I'm not worthy of this money. I didn't do anything. I don't even have a college degree. I didn't invent something that changed the world. I just own a business. I just own these. It's just a business. I've messed up in these areas. I haven't been going to church. I haven't been tithing. I haven't been perfect. That's that self-debilitating self-criticism that he speaks here. It's debilitating them. It is holding them back. If their heart condemns them, let me read it in that original translation I said. Their heart condemns them. But God's greater than our heart, and He knows all things. But if our heart does not condemn us, we can have a confidence towards God. And whatever we ask, we receive from Him, because we keep His commandments and do the things that are pleasing in His sight. I have a friend of mine. We were talking recently, and he was feeling just a little stuck and stale in his relationship with God. It feels like his prayer time wasn't as strong, and he wasn't excited about stuff. He was kind of dabbling in that line of feeling hopeless. All right, you know that feeling? What's the point? Everything I pray for didn't work. I've been speaking this, believing this, sowing seed towards this. Nothing's happening. Nothing's working. If you're in that spot, it's a dangerous spot. Do not let yourself get there nor stay there. He was towing that line. We started talking. And here's what we realized is he was experiencing some business success, doing better than a lot of, making more money than the average person, but yet wasn't fulfilled by any means. So we talked it out, and God had given him some instructions, some things to do and to work on, but he wasn't doing them. The reason he wasn't doing them, I believe, has to do with the scripture. He had debilitating self-criticism because his heart is condemning him. Because the instructions the Lord gave him were ministry related, something to do and create that would minister and help and bless people in the church world. But he's over there fighting self-criticism because he's like, well, again, who am I? I messed up here. I did this. I did that. God can't use me because I've sinned so much. God can't use me because I cussed a little bit. God can't use me because this. So therefore, because his heart was condemning him, he did not take action on what God told him to do. But the scripture says, if your heart does not condemn you, you've got confidence towards God, and you will have whatever you ask. You will receive whatever you ask of him because you're keeping his commandments and doing the things that are pleasing in his sight. In the Message, it says, you can be bold and free before God. We're able to stretch out our hands and receive what we've asked for because we're doing what he said. Well, my friend wasn't doing what he said. So even for me, about a year ago, when I dove in and just committed doing what I really wanted to do with my life, which is create increase curriculum, courses, books, and programs that help Christians live the increased life, like this YouTube video, like the podcast, again, like the books and courses we've got. This is all I wanted to do. It's what God has put in my heart since pretty much the beginning, but I wasn't doing it. But now that I'm doing it, I'm living out this life right here. I'm bold and free before God. I'm able to stretch out my hands and receive what I've asked for because I'm doing what he said and I'm doing what pleases him. I'm doing what he said. Well, now I feel confident. See, we experience this even in the natural world. For instance, I've had people who joined high-ticket mastermind groups. This is where you usually pay a large fee to get around people who are on higher levels than you financially, business, and life. And then you guys talk things out. You meet once a week, once a month, something like that. And you talk it all out and you help each other grow. It's a beautiful thing. It's super powerful. It'll help you level up quickly in whatever area you want to level up in. But part of what we do typically is have some kind of accountability element where it's like, okay, all right, Travis, so what's your goal? It's this. Okay, cool. What are you going to do about it by the next time we meet? We're going to meet in a month. What will you have done by then? I'm going to have X, Y, and Z done. Okay, awesome. But then the time comes and you didn't get it done. So what a lot of people unfortunately do is they can't go face the music, so they don't show up to the meeting, and typically they will end up quitting, which is the worst choice because then they begin to drift and the downward spiral begins. They self-isolate, it gets darker, and they get further away and they drift more and more because they're so afraid to just own it up and be like, I didn't do it. They just can't take that responsibility. They just can't take that hit. It's just too hard on their ego, too hard on their pride. They're too insecure to take that. This is how we often operate with God. See, what was happening in the mastermind situation is their heart was condemning them, or they were giving themselves debilitating self-criticism, is another way to put it. I'm so lazy. I'm so stupid. I'm an idiot. Why didn't I get this done? Man, I'm horrible at business. No wonder I'm not an entrepreneur. I knew it. I should have just stuck to my day job. Debilitating self-criticism. But we do it with God. I can't go ask God for anything because I haven't started that podcast he told me to start. I haven't started the book. I haven't started the YouTube channel. He told me to go and pray with this guy and I didn't. He told me to give this amount of money and I didn't give it. I didn't do it. Debilitating self-criticism, their hearts condemning them. They don't have confidence towards God. Therefore, they don't believe that they will receive whatever they ask for. But this scripture changes that for you. If you're in that spot, don't feel condemned. That's what he's saying here. God is greater than our worried hearts. Let me read it to you in the Amplified Classic. Whenever our hearts in tormenting self-accusation make us feel guilty and condemn us, for we are in God's hands, for he is above and greater than our consciousness, our hearts. Just so you know, your conscience, another way to put that is your heart. So when you read that in the Bible, your heart, it even says here in the Amplified, in parentheses, that your conscience is your heart. And he knows, he perceives and understands everything. Nothing's hidden from him. And beloved, in our consciousness, our hearts, they do not accuse us. If they do not make us feel guilty and condemn us, then we have confidence, complete assurance, and boldness before God. And we receive whatever we ask because we watchfully obey his orders. We observe his suggestions and injunctions and follow his plan for us and habitually practice what is pleasing to him. Yo, that's powerful. That's crazy powerful. It's saying if your heart is condemning you, it's not God condemning you. Your conscience is condemning you because you're not doing what you know to do. I know I should be writing that book. I know I should be doing this thing. I should have started that business. I should be taking my wife out on more dates. I should be complimenting her more or finding out what her love language is. I should be doing this with my kids. I should be doing this in the ministry. I should be praying for this. I should be tithing. Ooh, there's a big one. A lot of people aren't tithing, but know they should be. But therefore their heart, their conscience is condemning them, accusing them, tormenting them, as it said in the Amplified, and making them feel guilty. And because of that, they don't have a confidence and boldness towards God because they know they're not doing what they should be doing. Just like in the mastermind situation. They should be able to come to us and have a bold and free disposition. We're not condemning you if you don't finish your assignments. We might kick you in the butt a little bit and be like, hey, come on, man, you're better than that. How can we help you? God's the same way. But people tend to self-isolate and pull away because they're feeling guilty for not doing what they know they should be doing. So in your situation, in my situation, if you are feeling these certain ways, if you're like, man, my prayer time is just not powerful anymore, it just feels dry, I'm not excited about anything right now, I don't feel fulfilled, I'm not walking in my purpose, I'm not doing anything important, I'm just kind of existing, I'm just kind of floating. If that's you, check this scripture. God is saying, don't let your heart condemn you. He's greater than your worried heart. He's saying, hey, forget all that. Forget all that. That's not from me. You can come to me boldly. You can come to me freely. And you can come to me with confidence. So that's the shift we need to make. Ignore and remove the guilty feelings. Feeling guilty is not from God. It's saying your heart is condemning you. Your conscience is condemning you and making you feel guilty. Well, all we got to do is make a couple adjustments. God, what is it that you want me to do? And listen, with my friend's example, and even with my example, it wasn't that we needed to quit our jobs and do nothing else but make these videos. And that's all we do ever. But we need to be working on it and be in obedience. So for my friend, it was just, he needed to restructure some time, get up about 30 minutes earlier, and squeeze in making his product, making his stuff, just before he left for work that day. He doesn't have to know every step. You don't have to know how to sell it. You don't have to know, steps B through Z. You just need to know step A and take it. And I think everyone watching this knows step A. Step number 1. You just know the next step, but you may not have been taking it yet. If God told you to write a book, don't just sit there for the next month telling yourself why you can't write a book and why you have to go back to school before you can write a book. Oh, please do not do that. That's silly. Go write the book. Just go make chapter 1. Oh, Trav, I don't have time. You got time. Stop sleeping in. Get up 30 minutes earlier. Spend 15 minutes in the Word. And then go write for 15 minutes. Put it in your calendar. Put it as an alert in your phone that you just write every day for 15 minutes. That's how I wrote a lot of my books. I just write 25 minutes a day. And often it'll flow into longer. And more than that. And then some days it'll be longer. Some days. But you just lock in that you write for 25 minutes a day. I'm writing a new book right now. I'm just writing a chapter a day. This particular book has really short, little bite-sized micro chapters. So I'm just writing one a day, and pretty soon it's going to be done. That's me doing this. I'm doing what he's called me to do. Therefore, I can go to him with a boldness and confidence because I'm doing it. I'm being obedient. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you guys is perhaps that's what's holding you back. You are allowing your heart to torment you, to make you feel guilty, and to accuse you. Again, these are not from God. God's not doing these things. You're doing these things. The enemy's doing these things. All right? So you can ignore them. Then we need to have that boldness before God and be like, okay, I don't feel guilty anymore. God, I come to you boldly and with confidence. I'm bold and free before you. And I know that I have whatever I ask because of it. And from this point forward, I'm going to do what you've called me to do, what you've instructed and advised me to do. You know what it is. And if you're saying, Travis, I really don't. Okay, just get alone, get quiet, ask him some questions, and write them down. I write a lot on my iPad with the Apple Pencil. I write a lot in old school notebooks. I write a lot, but I also remember a lot. It's important. Get with God, write it down, find out what your next step is. If it's something like writing a book, starting a podcast, starting a YouTube channel, just start it. Just take a step. Even if you didn't publish anything for a while, you are still operating in it. And that allows you to feel that freedom to go boldly before God. My heart's not condemning me because I'm doing it. My heart's not condemning me because I'm working on the goal. I don't feel guilty anymore because I'm actually working on it. This feels great. That's how my friend feels. He's not stopping his job or his business to do this thing full time, but he's taking steps. I often talk about laying down a brick. So imagine this. I'll wrap up with this little analogy. Imagine you know where you want to go. So for me, I want my increased curriculum to be in every Christian school, every Christian church, and every Christian home in America. Now that goal will stretch at some point, but that's where it is. That's the current goal. I want that increased curriculum because I know what it does to people and how it changes generations and family trees. But what if all I did was every week, we're just going to say weekly, and you take this for you. You just made one brick. You just stacked one brick. I just wrote one chapter of the curriculum. I just made one video for the video course. And each week, I just stacked a brick. One video, one chapter, one thing, one email, one brick. If you operated that way, a couple things would happen. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel fulfilled. Your heart will not condemn you because you're actually doing what God called you to do, what he instructed and advised you to do. You're working on it. Tony Robbins says progress equals happiness. Man, I really think he's onto something there. Just stacking one brick per week is making progress. It's better than stacking 0 bricks like maybe how you've been operating. Stack a brick. You're going to feel amazing. You're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to have a boldness and a confidence with God because you're doing what he said to do. And then the next best part is you're going to look back, and pretty soon, faster than you realized, those bricks are going to have built a house. You're going to have a foundation. And then you're going to have the building. Then you're going to have the structure. The next thing you know, your book is done. Your course is completed. The thing you are making is here. You got something to sell now. You've got something to promote. You've got something to operate in. You've got a field, as the Bible often calls it. Man, I love you guys. I hope this has helped you. Go read it for yourself. All right, 1 John 3, it's about 19, 20, 21, and 22. Just kind of read all those. Just get the whole context. And it's powerful scripture. Check it out in the different translations. Ask God, have I been doing this? Is this something in my life that's been holding me back? Because I think it's been holding a lot of people back from doing what God's called them to do, fulfilling and discovering their purpose. Because a lot of you guys are called to ministry, but your heart's condemning you because you're saying, oh, I can't be in ministry because I cuss and I looked at this and I did that and I was short with my wife and I was mad at my kids and I didn't go to seminary, so I can't be in the ministry. I don't have that. All these different things. Man, I can't be an entrepreneur. You're not smart. You made bad grades. You didn't come from money. No one in your family is an entrepreneur. You don't even have a college degree. Oh, and remember that time you started a business and it failed? Man, you're an idiot. That's why you got to just stay in your own lane. That is not God at all. That's not even close to his nature. You know what God sounds like, right? I hope you do. It doesn't sound like that. Don't let your heart condemn you. Be bold and free before God. Man, he'll give you whatever you ask for. I love you guys. I think this one really helped you. It helped me. I'm preaching to myself. I'm going to keep on studying this scripture. I hope you do too. Again, if you're new to the channel, financialincrease101.com. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell because we got plenty of trainings and teachings like this coming out. If you do want to dive deeper into these things, if you want to help support the channel, you can click below in the links and join the Increase Army. You're going to get access to over 75 in-depth trainings, videos, lessons, and resources. And it's a powerful place to be. I'll see you in the next one.